Welcome to the video. Before we get started, I'd like to play a little game and see if you can guess this symbol. Now, if you saw this on the side of a building and you said there's Wi-Fi inside, well, you'd be correct. And what's the best kind of Wi-Fi? Well, the free kind, of course. Hi, my name is Chris Young. I'm a solutions architect with Attachmates North American Systems Engineering Group, and I've been doing application development and security for a little over 15 years. An interesting thing about me is that long before I joined the company, I was actually an Attachmate client where I administered over, deployed, and utilized Attachmate software for a large U.S. bank. In this video, I'm going to show you an Attachmate product called Reflection Security Gateway that we often refer to by its acronym RSG. Now, going back to our symbols game, here's a few more for you to guess. If I threw this one up on the screen, what would you say? Probably say cloud computing or file sharing and some popular services like Dropbox, Google Drive, or Novell Filer. Now this one will be a little more difficult, and you may not get it unless I put it with a little more context. How about if I throw a little icon like Active Directory, computers, or users? Well, then you'd say, oh, that's directory or LDAP. Now how about this guy? He'd probably make you think of smart card or smart chip technology. And then finally we have a lock, which would make you think of encryption or SSL. Now these symbols weren't just a fun game. They're actually services provided by RSG, and they're going to serve as our agenda for this video. So what if deploying your host system's access were as easy as using the cloud, or that you could utilize your existing directory groups to do so, and you had the confidence to know you could pass any audit because your data was secured in transit? That's what you're going to see today. For the first topic, let's talk a little bit about the cloud and how services like Dropbox have changed the face of traditional computing. Now, the technology behind Dropbox is pretty simple. It's files. And that's certainly not unique. In fact, you've probably got millions of files in your data center right now. It's not new either. I mean, recall the days of robotic tape arms, and even before that, you had storage facilities with the tape reels. Really, it's as old as computing itself. But what has changed is how we access that data and taking those files and putting them on the cloud. And that has created a fundamental paradigm shift. And that's the exact shift that RSG provides for the mainframe. It is emulation on the cloud. So in the first demo, I'm going to show you how easy it is to take an emulation session and publish that to a group of users through RSG. Now what you're seeing on the screen now is me launching Reflection Security Gateway. And as it loads Java, it's behind the scenes detecting who I am automatically. He's going to load a set of linked lists that are specific to me. And as you can see, it brought up a single session file. And it knows who I am. I'm going to go over here and show you the administrative console for this. I'm going to go into the session manager, and if you'll notice, we have all of our web-based sessions over here, and then RSG is our Windows-based sessions. I'm going to pick Reflection Workspace, and I'm going to go ahead and name this a demo session. And if you'll notice here, one of the options, I'm going to overwrite the end-user files. This will make sure that what I store on the cloud is always what's delivered to the client's desktop. So now we're launching the emulator behind the scenes, and I'm going to go ahead and establish a connection to a demo host. It's going to be port 27. And now let's check to make sure we get connected. Now once we have our active connection, we can go through a screen. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and RSG is going to prompt me to save this back up. And as you can see, it now saved that session and created me a direct hyperlink to get there. It also created a new item in the database. Now I'm going to go over here to the access mapper, and I'm going to map this session to all users. And once I save this, I come back in, I refresh my link list, give it just a second to reinterrogate all the information. And what you'll notice is that new session appeared. I'm going to go ahead and open that session. I can also do it from the direct link as well. And now the session has launched. You can see how easy it is for you to use RSG to deploy your sessions via the cloud. If you'll permit me, I'm going to use a card trick to demonstrate the next capability of RSG. So we have 6 cards face down on the table, and I'm going to flip them over in just a moment and ask you to choose one of the cards. And then I'm going to take them all away. So here goes. Choose one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Taking the cards away. Now I'm going to bring 5 of the 6 cards back, and you'll notice your card is missing from the mix. So how did I do this? Well, in fact, there's actually 2 sets of cards. I removed the jack and I switched the suit on all the other cards. Although this sleight of hand makes for a fun card trick, it also highlights some of the complexities and problems that arise when you manage 2 sets of data. So I pose the question to you, do you maintain 2 sets? Most people will answer no, they do it inside of Active Directory. But if you have a mainframe, it's very likely you're also administering RACF or Top Secret. And this is where RSG can help. It allows you to integrate all these different authorization mechanisms. Use your existing Active Directory security groups to control host access. And when you're ready, take advantage of some of the advanced 2-factor authentication like smart cards with single sign-on. In the last demo, you saw how easy it was to publish a session up to the cloud. Now, you'll see how you can utilize Active Directory to filter that to just specific users. Back on the admin console, you remember we used the access mapper to assign a session to all users. We can also choose specific users or groups. And here's where I'm going to show you how to configure the directory integration. So here I've got single sign-on, IIS, and LDAP. But I can choose any one of these different authentication mechanisms. X509 for smart card, but I'm going to go ahead and stick with single sign-on through IIS. I'm going to use LDAP. And here are some of my choices for directory integration. You can see we're using Active Directory, but we have quite a few choices inside of here. And in order to map that session, we go back into the session mapper or the access mapper, choose a particular user, click on that user, and then we would just assign it to them. We can also choose groups, in this case sales, search for the group I like, and then to integrate with the directory is as simple as a checkbox. For our third capability, I'm going to turn to this guy and see if you know who he is. This is Usain Bolt, and at the time of this video, he's considered to be the fastest man on the planet. So you say, what does speed have to do with encryption? And I want to show you how you can use RSG to implement SSL almost immediately. So we're going to have a little race to see who can do it quicker. Usain Bolt dashing 1,000 meters or a novice RSG user deploying SSL on that demo session. In the previous 2 demos, you saw how easy it was to publish a session up to RSG and then use Active Directory to filter that to just specific users. In the third demo, you're going to see how you can secure that data in transit between your endpoints. Back in your RSG admin console, you're going to go ahead and find that session that you previously created. I'm going to launch this off. And then once it comes up in the emulator, we're going to go ahead and change some of the security settings. So now it's connected, we're going to bring up the document settings, and we're going to manage the security. And setting SSL is trivial, it's just a checkbox. So we're going to go ahead and say use our security proxy here, the RSG server, and we're going to put in our host name that we want to connect to, set any of our PKI information if we wanted to. We could also change the encryption level if we wanted, but in most cases it's just as simple as checking the checkboxes, testing the session, make sure that we are encrypted. Indeed, you can see the lock. So now we're going to go ahead and save this back up to the administrative web station. Now that it's ready, we come back in and refresh our links list. Open this session. And when it launches, you'll see that this session is SSL encrypted. There's our lock. We can look at the certificate. We can see, in fact, we are encrypted. It was that easy. Only Reflection Security Gateway gives you all these capabilities: the advanced two-factor smart card authentication services, the emulation proxy server for doing direct SSL connections, and the deployment wizards for publishing through the cloud. Everything integrates with your existing directory infrastructure and makes all your deployment tasks very, very easy. Let's talk about what you might gain if you implemented Reflection Security Gateway. In regards to encryption, you go from using clear text to SSL. And for two-factor authentication, you can go from RSA tokens to smart cards like CACs or PIVs. You manage one SSL certificate, not hundreds, and it's simple URL-based deployment. Best of all, it integrates with your existing directory infrastructure, utilizes your current security groups. RSG does many things, and depending upon your role, you might put it to different uses. If you're in desktop engineering, you might appreciate that you don't have to do MSI repackaging every time you need to make a small change, or you might appreciate the URL deployment. If you're a CISO, you'll appreciate that it uses your existing directory infrastructure, or that you can get immediate SSL. You might also be considering two-factor authentication. If you're in business continuity or vendor management, you'll appreciate the remote access with no VPN. You'll also like that you can grant external vendor access to only certain systems without giving them full access to your network. Finally, if you manage one of the host systems, you'll appreciate the centralized certificate management, the fact that you can buy one cert and not thousands. You also might like that instant SSL. And finally, you can save MIPS by offloading encryption to a middle tier server. As this video comes to a close, let's summarize what you've seen. You saw how easy it was to publish your sessions to the cloud, how you could integrate with your existing directory infrastructure, and how you can encrypt your data in transit. Now all that's left is for you to find out how you can put RSG to work in your organization. If you have any questions or you'd like to take a deeper dive into Reflection Security Gateway, please contact me at chris.young@attachmate.com or contact your local Attachmate account executive.